Hey everybody, this is gonna be my first recording because there's been some weird stuff happening lately, and I figured I wanted to get it all recorded and into some sort of archive or document just so that someone else would be able to come back and look at it later. So I better start at the beginning. It's been going on for a while now, but about a week ago, I was looking at my documents to find some pictures for the webcast I do with my friend Doug, and there's a picture that I hadn't seen before, and so I opened it, and it seemed to be a picture of an eye, like just a high quality close up of a human eye, not like disconnected from the body or anything, but it looks to be Doug's eye. So I figured it was just some sort of weird prank he had done. I don't know why he did it, just some random thing. And so I just kind of blew it off. And but something that kind of egged at me for a while was the fact that the file name was "Let Me Show You," which didn't make any sense. It didn't have any significance to me. It wasn't like a phrase I had heard before. It just said the file name was just "Let Me Show You.jpg," and so I kind of got weirded out by that. I asked Doug about it, and he had no idea what I was talking about, and I figured he was just messing with me, but he said he had no idea. So then a couple of days later, the exact same thing happens. I found another picture in my documents of just another eye. I couldn't tell the identity of the person this time, but the file just said "Let Me Show You" again. I had two files both named "Let Me Show You.jpg," and now I was getting kind of freaked out because I had no idea who this eye belonged to, who this high quality close up of this eye was. And so I kind of got freaked out. I started asking around people. No one knew what the heck I was talking about, and there was no circumstances where somebody could have taken a picture of themselves and gotten it onto my laptop without me knowing. I always have my laptop on me. I always know where it is, and I couldn't see how somebody would have stolen it and just taken a picture and then put it right back how they found it, and I lock it wherever I go. So I don't know what the heck's going on. So then, the next day after that, I decide I'm going to try and see if I can bait them, make it happen again. I'm kind of paranoid, so I kind of jumped to the conclusion of, hey, I'm going to catch them, they're going to do it again. I don't know what I was thinking, but it wasn't really that much big of a deal to set this up, and so I just set my laptop has a security cam feature, and so I just set it to security cam and left it out just like I had a dozen other times for the webcast, and then just let it run all day for quite a while, and then I came back the next day. I left it at my grandmother's, which is where I do the webcast, and I came back the next day, and I opened the archived file of the webcam footage, the security cam footage, and it appeared that everything was normal. It went all the way through. It wasn't that weird, but at some point, about 10-15 minutes into the webcam footage, it started to get a little bit staticky, a little bit blurry, and that didn't seem weird to me. I mean, after a couple of drops down the stairs, my laptop kind of malfunctions every once in a while. So there was this weird distortion, but immediately afterwards, the screen goes black for about 5 more minutes after that. It's just complete blackness. There's no footage. I can't clarify it. It's not a glitch in the system. There's nothing wrong other than the fact that the screen is completely black. I can't find anything in my computer showing what happened in that about 5 minutes of time. And so once I managed to get back into my files, my documents and everything, just to see if there had been a picture, sure enough, there's yet another picture that says "Let Me Show You," or titled "Let Me Show You." And this time it gets a little bit darker. It's a picture of, sorry, my phone's going off. This time it's a picture of a hand, but it's kind of an old, craggly looking hand, thin, warped almost, and it was just a creepy looking hand. Again, it didn't freak me out that much, but now I was getting concerned because this time there was no way this could have happened. I was recording. I don't know, there was no evidence to show that anyone had been there before the blackness in order to disable the laptop to get hidden. I mean, if it went black, I would assume there'd be like a couple of seconds, maybe just a millisecond of someone there blocking the camera or something. I mean, in these security cam footages, the stereotypical movies and stuff, they shine a laser, they cover it with duct tape, but you see the person disabling the camera. There's at least a millisecond where you see something. This was just distortion, blackness for 5 minutes, and then nothing. I don't know what's going on, and I've decided that I'm going to keep my laptop on me and see what's going on here. Tonight, I decided I just looked up on Google ways that you can completely disable the ability to save pictures without completely disabling your laptop. And so I'm going to do that tonight and see if I can't get any actual reactions, anything, whether they can get files onto my computer when it's physically impossible. I know that seems crazy, but I'm not really sure what else I'm supposed to do. I mean, someone is clearly getting these files onto my computer through a source I don't know about. Maybe they're doing it somehow through the internet. I don't know how they're getting onto my documents or how they're getting into my computer, but they're doing this somehow from an outside source. Okay, alright everyone. Now I'm scared. Okay, give me a minute to compose myself here. Okay, so last time I told you I was going to disable the saving features on my laptop and set it out in hopes that I would get some material to tell you about, and I did. Okay, so I set my laptop up with the saving feature disabled, and I set it on my table as I do at night, and I just left it plugged in on power saver, and just left it on. And but there was no way anyone could save anything onto it. I had disabled pretty much every function of this computer other than the fact that I just left it open. Well, I wake up in the morning, and I guess I should tell you about the nightmare. Okay. So, when I went to bed that night after setting up the laptop thing, I had this incredibly vivid nightmare. It was all sorts of different things. It was in terms of a dream, it was pretty, you know how a dream is. It's got multiple different things happening all at once, and it was kind of a crazy acid trip type deal. But one significant part I remember is seeing lots and lots of figures without faces. There were people in suits, women, all kind of distorted. Their limbs didn't match up quite right. Their faces were offset, or when they did have faces, a lot of them didn't have faces at all. They were just blank, emotionless mannequin type faces. Other ones had faces that were oddly distorted, eyes up here, eyes down there, mouth all offset, and that messed with me pretty bad. But I woke up the next morning, and my laptop, it was kind of in a weird position, like I hadn't left it that way. It didn't really egg at me, but looking back on it, I kind of feel as though I should have noticed it. But there was something carved into the screen. It was as though someone had taken a pocket knife or claws and carved into the screen of the laptop, which obviously destroyed the laptop, but they had carved the letters or words, "Let me show you," into the laptop screen. They had carved "Let me show you" into the screen itself. So that terrified me. But for those of you who don't know me, in order to organize my flash drives, I have a couple of them because I give people different copies of them, my songs, my books I'm working on, all that stuff, and so I color-coded them so I could keep track of them all. I took finger paint and I just dabbed blue, yellow, and red onto each of them, and then I went into the files, and then I named the laptop each of their respective, or named the flash drives each of their respective colors, just to keep it organized. And there was a flash drive sitting next to my computer this morning that I didn't recognize at first, because it didn't look like any of mine, because it was just bright red. And when I picked it up, it was viscous. It was covered in a slime, which I, upon further inspection, realized was blood. It was a flash drive that had been drenched in blood. I don't know whether it was human or what. There weren't any injuries on me. There was nothing where this blood could have come from. And at that point, I'm thoroughly terrified. And so I try and turn on the laptop. It doesn't work. Obviously, it's been completely destroyed. And so I take the flash drive, and I take it over to my home PC, and I plug it in, and the flash drive's name has changed from Red to Let Me Show You Something. Alright, so I opened the file that was left on the flash drive, and there were 4 pictures. Now, there was at the most only 3 ever on my hard drive, so I looked, and the picture that had been added was a picture that, as far as I could tell, was the same as the second eye. Not Doug's, but the same as the second one, except it was different this time. It seemed to have, well, first of all, the skin was paler. It was like it had less pink tones to it. It was off gray, off white, you would say. And it was, the eye itself was glazed over, like cataracts or like that of a dead animal. I've been hunting a couple of times, so I kind of recognized the side of a dead eye. And now that really scared me, because whoever they were conveying the fact that whoever took these pictures had taken a picture both before and after whoever this person's death was, still anonymous, or they had obtained pictures before and after death. So I could find some rational explanations to the whole picture things, but there was nothing that could explain how they got those pictures onto the flash drive, what happened to my laptop overnight. None of this could be explained in any rational manner. So, I need to compose. Okay. So, I looked at the other pictures, and they were all unchanged. There was still that creepy hand. There was still just the picture of Doug's eye. But when I looked at Doug's, I thought, if the picture was taken before and after the anonymous person's death, what would happen to Doug? This was a picture of him, and reasoning tells us that what happens once will happen again. So, what does that mean? And also, what the heck's up with that hand? What's the picture of the hand for? It hasn't changed. There's no new one. I can't tell whose hand it could be. There's no way I could identify it as any particular person. I don't know what's going on. I gotta head to school tomorrow, so I'll give you the next part of the story after, if anything happens. If I live to have another part to these stories, I guess. Well, I'll see you in the next chapter, if there is one. Alright, well, life goes on. I just got back from a exciting day at school, and the first part of the day went pretty normal. I mean, it was uneventful, trying to keep the previous day's events out of my head. But when I got to my the last class of the day, ILT, Information, Literature, and Technology, which is basically just a computer science room, I started on my assignment. I opened up my computer. I tried to get into Excel, but none of the buttons were working. Nothing was opening for me. And then when I had finally gotten to a point where I was about ready to ask my teacher for help, a black screen opened. Now, in previous ILT classes, I had learned some bit about QBasic, HTML programming and stuff, so I recognized that was the kind of screen that came up. But for those of you who don't know what that means, it's basically a big black screen, all black screen with a fat green cursor that blinks, like a regular insertion point, but it's big and green and very simplistic because it hasn't changed since basically the invention of computing. So that pops up, and I'm really confused now. I don't want to ask my teacher for help because I'm afraid I've broken something and then I might get in trouble if I don't fix it myself. So I try and type something in, but before I can actually hit down the keyboard, it starts typing on its own. Something or someone else has already started typing. I just assumed it was some sort of like regular BIOS type thing. I'm not really fluent in that kind of thing, but I figured that was going on, and so I read the script that it was typing out itself, assuming it would be like error 314, the computer cannot deny your request or something weird. But when I looked at it, it just read, there is no escape, dot dot dot, and then it went down the line and said, let me show you something else.